They're in a
We're both
bathtub.
muted. We're both muted. Yeah, this is yeah, no. I normally have the unmute happen automatically. But
Are we unmuted now?
we are unmuted now.
That's so cool.
Yeah, no. So
Jesus.
y'all missed me saying what's up, Chuckle Fucks.
Yeah, apparently. It was you were almost Godless Engineer for a quarter second?
Yeah, I was, but I managed to catch that. This is my first ever bathtub stream.
You know what? You're now a hot tub streamer. Congratulations.
I'm in a hotel, and it was big enough, and I thought, why not?
Oh, well.
Rosina Keller, thank you for being a member for 4 months. Oh, that's the basic level. Yeah, basic. Your pH is 14.
Where's the Rhino bathwater? Look, he'll have it available for you on his OnlyFans in like, I don't know, 10 years maybe, when he gets around to it.
Yeah, when I get around to it. So yeah, I am on vacation. This is a vacation stream. If things fuck up, I'm just going to blame hotel internet. It seemed to be good when I did the speed test, but it's hotel internet, so who knows if that is going to be consistent. And yeah, I am ditching the sunglasses now. That was just for the bit.
You don't want to just have the sunglasses on the entire time so you can't like, read?
See, those aren't prescriptions, so I can't see what... I mean, I can see without my glasses, but not very well. Now, this is the resort that we went to. It's an all-inclusive resort.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so happy. So we're in Mexico.
Yeah.
I was so happy when I reached into the fridge and I saw what was there for me. And so I'll show you. Let me just reach over and grab it.
Chasta, thank you for the... Oh my God. The best kind of advertisements.
I mean, it's like a throwback can, so it's not the same can as in the ads. It's from 1905, but it is Cerveza Cristal.
Oh, well. I have a Sensei's Divining top I printed off a week ago.
Thank you to my Onan _Stankfoot.
My Onan _Stankfoot.
Thank you for subscribing. I'm also confused at the so Twitch has that as being like Own 3D, which is like the company that I got that stupid countdown widget from, which it made me laugh. Someone in the chat was saying like, "Oh, looks like Rhino got a bigger budget." I'm like, no, this was literally like I forgot to pack my countdown video.
So you just happen to have a different countdown video.
That's what I threw together. I'm like, I'm in Mexico. I will grab a approximately 2-minute long song that comes up when I type Mexico into the YouTube "you don't need to credit us" music thing. And then just grabbed a picture that realistically I'm probably not allowed to use it because I just did a Google image search for Mexican beach and took a nice one.
Well, welcome to content creation. We're very loose with that.
That was a downgrade. Although that being said, I'm not sure that I paid for the other one. That might have been a free one that I found somewhere too. And
Alpha Mario says Cirrus and Rhino should host a reality TV show about punching Nazis.
Lord of Uzkalak says Mexico. I thought it was Russian music. Like, I don't know. I just typed in Mexico in the search thing and was like, Sure,
Whatever came up, came up.
that sounds like maybe you might hear it in the Caribbean. I don't know. But also, my partner is trying to keep the kids occupied until we're done streaming, which because we're in a different time zone, that's I'm aiming to end at like 10 o'clock when we would normally end at 11, but then it'd still be 11 for you.
It's gonna be, yeah, it's gonna be the same thing for me either way.
But yeah, my kids are used to going to bed around like 7 or 8, so I might have to cancel early.
I guess we'll find out.
Yeah. And yeah, your audio is being artifacty, which I assume is hotel Wi-Fi shit. So,
It's, yeah, it's got to be hotel Wi-Fi.
because that has never happened to me. I swear this has never happened before.
That
Um,
happens to all guys at our age,
so yeah, I also
your age.
I'm not going to be able to highlight chat messages, and when I am reading the articles and the tweets, I won't even be seeing the chat. So, sorry, the laptop screen is too small for me to like have multiple windows doing shit.
Fair enough.
Um, oh, let me remember to disable my Cerveza crystal thing. Otherwise, every time I change scenes, it's going to pop up. So yeah, I didn't pick 3 articles because I'm on vacation. I didn't feel like reading news all day long. I know there was something about someone said something at the beginning. Let me scroll back up in the chat. There was a did you hear? Because I did hear about it, and I'm forgetting what it was. But I wanted. Oh yeah, Matt Walsh was undercover at the DNC.
He was,
And
yeah,
like
he was doing the white
undercover.
dudes. He was wearing a white dudes for Harris shirt.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm debating. So Progressive Victory is doing a watch along with the third or the Thursday event for the DNC in Atlanta, and I'm debating on whether or not I go to that. I don't know. Access says, "Wait, that was him." Apparently, it was. It was actually Matt Walsh.
Yeah. Yeah. Because he's a piece of shit. Oh yeah. Also, my laptop's on battery power, so I might have to get out of the tub and move to the bed. Which,
You know that by having it on battery power, fewer resources are being used for your streaming software, right?
shh. Okay. I'm in a tub. Do you think the hotel was going to put an outlet right by the tub?
I mean, most of the wires are usually long enough to reach the hairdresser or the hair dryer socket.
Oh no, no, the tub is just in the bedroom.
What?
Yeah, my bed is right there. I am
There's
not in the
not a
bathroom. This is the outside window. Oh no, I'm not on that. But that's the outside window to my balcony right there, like right behind me.
wait. Why is there no? That's very different to what I'm
It's
used to.
it is a very strange hotel. I will give you that. There's a lot that there's a lot that I'm unsure about at this place.
Pernia says he got one of those rooms. Yeah, one of the sex rooms. One of the ones like, look at me lavishly
No,
taking care
okay.
of myself.
This was a
Don't you
hotel
want me
where
to go over to that bed later, darling?
no, this tub is big enough for two. Um, no, this is the kind of place that when we were booking it. Now, to be fair, we went through an agency. We didn't go direct to the website, but we did look direct at the website to see if the price, like we compared prices versus like on the website versus going through an agent, and there was nowhere where you could like guarantee connecting rooms. And we have 5 children. We need 2 rooms, and if they're not connecting, then our kids are going to be running,
Whoa.
screaming through the hallway. Rosina said my pillow guy is also undercover at DNC. He shaved his mustache and wore sunglasses. Oh my God, I want to see that. Mike Lindell with a shaved his mustache. That's horrible. Um, but yeah, so it's one of those places where they say like, oh no, we can't guarantee connecting rooms or whatever, and then but we'll do our best. And then we got here, and they were like, yeah, no, so your rooms are like down the hall from each other. So we're like, okay, well, you see, so this was after a day of traveling. So like, I was in the lobby physically restraining 2 children who were screaming at the top of their head, top of their lungs, and doing their best to just because like they've been stuck on airplanes for several hours, so they have all this energy in them that they need to get out. But if they get it out in a hotel lobby, things are going to get broken. And they were not like they would. If I let go of them, they would run in opposite directions. So yeah. So we were sitting there with screaming children, me having to physically restrain them, and the guy at the front desk is just like, "Yeah, no, here's your rooms down the hall from each other." I'm like, you see what we're dealing with, right? Do you want that in your hallways and other guests complaining? He's like, "Okay, well, I found some connecting rooms for you. It'll be $1,600 extra."
Hmm.
So it's one of those like either we are in what amounts to an impossible situation with 5 kids, or we pay almost $2,000 more for connecting rooms. So I'm not terribly pleased with that. That was our budget for doing things off the resort. So now we're just like, we have a pool for the week. Yay! Why are we in Mexico for just a pool?
Yeah. At
But
that point, you're just like, well, we're in a different country. Let's do things we can do at home.
yeah, also it was we did the traveling in the summer, so like the weather wasn't that different. It was a little chilly
Yeah.
when we left.
Paige Wilder says, I'm surprised Matt and Mike didn't get escorted out of the DNC. So, Paige, I'm not sure if you understand that these conventions, as long as you have access to them, you're able to be in them until you do something disruptive. Like, they're not going to find somebody who just happens to be a well-known Republican and go, no, you're just going to
Oh,
get out, because that
could
gives them
you
a huge like
could you
legal
imagine the
case.
outrage, the
Yeah,
the
like that.
Republican reaction to that?
Like that would be an astronomically stupid thing for them to try to do. Like, do I agree that it is the morally correct thing to do? Absolutely. Any area that happens to have Matt Walsh in it should have exactly one fewer Matt Walshes than were there 10 minutes ago. But there's literally no way to do that without massive, absolutely massive backfire.
Doremo 10 says people who say kid leashes are inhumane don't have kids. Yep. Yeah. So this is um, so my partner's kids are significantly more, shall we say, spirited than mine were at that age.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Mine were a lot more docile, I guess is the word. And I guess her kids are more normal than mine were.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to adjust because like my kids, like I didn't like I used the leash with my kids a couple of times, but then it got to the point where like what we ended up with was a carabiner attached to a stroller with like little circle things that were like painted like ladybugs and stuff that they would just hold on to those, and
Mm-hmm.
that did the same thing. But like
Paige says
my partner's kids, the first time we went anywhere with them, one of them ran into traffic and I had to run in and stop.
at that
So
point the leash is warranted.
yeah.
Paige says, I think they'd have been banned like so Paige, I know that I don't know why you're saying Christine, Weston, Chandler. Everybody knows them as Christian. Is just far faster, far easier to type. But anyway, I think they'd have been banned like Christian, who literally can't go to any convention. So Paige, the difference here is Matt Walsh is not he's a provocateur on camera.
Yeah.
That's what he does for his living on camera. Christian, on the other hand, actively sexually harasses women across the fucking globe. Like, so as somebody who goes to the Too Many Games convention in Philadelphia, which is one of the famous Christian meltdown historic moment spots, the difference is one of these people goes to conventions and goes to college campuses and sexually harasses people and actively makes a shit of themselves. The other person, I hate to say Matt Walsh has more tact, but Matt Walsh has more tact in this particular situation. He's
Yeah,
stupid enough to believe
on a
dumb shit.
relative scale.
Yeah, on a relative scale of what makes somebody an absolutely stupid bellend, Matt Walsh is at least socially competent enough to not do that.
Matt Walsh and
Christian is
socially
not.
competent are not things that I expected to hear in a sentence without a not between them.
When the scale is between Matt Walsh and person who sexually assaulted their own mother, God, I hate to say, Matt. I
So
hate to say.
Soda account says try keeping an autistic child close without a leash. Just 2 or 3 months ago, a 6-year-old autistic child. Oh, I didn't read that before reading it out. That is very sad. Um, yeah, so differing presentations of autism because I have two autistic children and they are the aforementioned docile ones.
Dan says Christian sounds like someone I would take sailing and make them walk home. Yeah, there's nobody who's been around her for any amount of time has wanted to repeat the experience. Tail says, "Oh no, are we talking about that person? I actually ran across them in the wild a few months ago. That is terrifying, and I am sorry. Um, I do not believe that there is any individual on the internet that has more documentation than Chris Chan. There are multi hundreds of hour long documentary projects, multiple of them dedicated solely to this individual for a reason. That's why they got banned from everywhere that is public.
Yeah, maybe they should be arrested, have
Well, they
charges
have
pressed.
been.
Yeah,
They have
no, but
been.
I mean,
Like, how much of the Chris Chan lore do you know, Rhino?
I know nothing. This is the first I've
Uh,
heard of this Chris Chan person.
okay, so Chris Chan is a so they do identify as trans, but even that conversation gets very, very weird when you look at like the public conversations that happen around them. Chris Chan is an autistic person who was part of the Sonic the Hedgehog fandom for a while and made a OC called
Hello.
Sonichu and sent it in for a contest and won the contest and got like super famous for a little bit of time. The problem though is that this person also has zero social awareness, like negative zero social awareness. So one of their female best friends at the time, they would constantly draw comics of their adventures together. And it was found out that a shit ton of their comics were sexual in nature. And when the friend asked, "Hey, could you never do that again?" things got really, really weird. And this is a constant thing that tends to happen with a lot of females around this individual. So much, and because they started out getting famous because of their Sonichu drawings and the artwork and everything associated with that, as they would go to conventions and people would recognize them at said conventions, she would have a series of meltdowns in various places due to not getting her way in very, very, very many different scenarios. It's literally too much stuff to cover where that's concerned. But ultimately, the biggest thing that happened with them in the last couple years, and I say this with a trigger warning for people who don't want to hear about sexual assault, but sexually assaulted their mother, and who was disabled and could not consent or anything. Like literally nothing about that situation was okay from top to bottom. And then ran away in the streets from the police naked. And then got arrested. And then the trial ended up not leading to them being stuck in prison for some reason. I guess they decided it's mentally unfit, or I can't remember the details on it because after that bit I stopped caring.
Okay.
But yeah, no, there's a reason why that individual gets banned from all the public spaces versus
Yeah.
Rush.
Yeah, that
Paige says Matt and Chris
sounds
are a
like
threat to
someone.
the public. Paige says Matt and Chris are a threat to the public in their own way, and it's just that Matt is a systemic threat where Chris is a localized threat.
Yeah,
Right.
I'd
But-
agree with that, but
that's not
you don't
enough
get
for
banned for being systemically threatening.
Yeah, you don't get banned for that. Like that's not how corporations work. That's not how get-togethers work. That's not how meetups work. That's not how any of that works socially. It is literally
Like-
you are allowed until you cause a problem within that group or at that area. That's what's required for you to get banned from one of those places.
Okay,
Christian has.
I have to read the super chat before I forget
Yeah,
about
by all
it.
means.
Rosina Keller says Mike Lindell said he wasn't given permission to access the DNC. Then he's on video screaming at a kid about missing election ballots. So
See, that's the kind of thing that gets you banned from a convention. Like if you're doing that
Yeah,
at a con, which the DNC is, then yeah, that's how you get banned.
Yeah, so and pursuant to our earlier conversation about how much battery um, the power thing sucks up, or the streaming stuff sucks up, I normally can like putter around on my laptop for several hours before having to
Hmm.
worry about plugging in. I only had like 15 minutes of battery left, so I had to leave the
Jesus
tub,
Christ.
and it was full when I started. So okay, anyway, let's get to the articles. We can talk about
Yay!
Putin is basically giving safe haven for mega idiots.
Well, of course, because he knows that he's bestest of buddies with Trump, and anybody who's like, we like Trump and we like the people Trump likes, but we don't like
Well,
Russia, are gonna look at Russia and go, but that's a safe haven for me.
he hasn't, or they haven't released an official list of countries yet that I've seen. Um, but yeah, like, so we can't say that like, oh yeah, he's offering asylum to right wing Americans, but like, he's offering asylum to right wing Americans.
That's what that means. Trading liberal Western ways for Russian moral values. That's that's just that's just saying if you're a right wing nut, come here with all the other right wing nuts. We have
Yeah,
enough vodka to make you forget that you're in a stone cold wasteland.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's not all a stone cold wasteland. I hear it on good authority from people like Tucker Carlson that Moscow is quite a beautiful city that's better than any American city.
Yeah, and I also so you want to know that whole Tucker Carlson thing where he was in Russia. You know the thing that fucked me up about that the most. So you could tell how disconnected he is from reality, from like normal
Yes,
living in
because
there. When
everything.
he went to the fucking market, right? And he was like he was so fascinated at the put the quarter in to get your card out so that you don't have to have a person that's constantly going and grabbing cards. And he was like, "Yeah,
Hmm.
this is just like this is so efficient. Why don't we do this in America?"
We
My
do.
good bitch, we do. It's called Aldi. What
Yeah,
the fuck is wrong with you? Do you not go shop? Do you have so much money that you don't have to go get groceries?
yeah.
My God, what a piece of shit.
We have that. That's one of our grocery store chains is called No Frills, and their
Mhm.
whole their whole shtick is that they you don't like there are no frills there. You don't get the fancy stuff you might get at other grocery stores,
Yep.
like bags. I mean,
We have a few places like that. Obviously, there's
so
Aldi. There's a place called like You Bag It that was in Pensacola that did that
mhm.
too. Like you bring your own
their
stuff.
their brand was called literally called No Name Brand, and they have always had like, and for them it wasn't a quarter, it was a dollar. You put a dollar in to get your
Yeah.
shopping cart.
Like it just it fascinated me at the basic things that I'm like, no, that's a thing that you just do like normally as a human being that breathes regular ass non-premium oxygen.
Progress
I
was
don't
me saying
understand what the fuck you're doing.
no name brand is by Loblaws. Yes. So the chat has picked up on this. Loblaws, who I like to think it's Bob Loblaw with his Loblog, um, but it's not. But yeah, no, Loblaws is owned by the same company, or they own No Frills or something. It's the same
Mhm.
company. They have the same no name brand, and yes, they were one of the most egregious. Um, they were one of the most egregious. What's the word? I can't think of the word I'm looking for. They did the you know, when inflation was happening and companies were just like raising their prices by
Yeah,
way more than they needed to, and they were blaming inflation.
they were
Loblaws
one of
was
the worst ones.
they were one of the worst ones at that, yeah. And you know, their whole thing is you aren't like you aren't getting high hoity-toity stuff, so we can keep our prices down. So we're the cheap grocery store that you go to because you don't need all that fancy stuff. You can bring your own bag or whatever.
And then they increased the prices a
And
bunch.
then yeah, so and they were the worst. Um, and yeah, I'm mentioning that like they make you bring your own bag or pay for bags when you're there or whatever. That's actually standard now because the plastic bags are illegal. So it's all like either reusable bags or paper bags. So they got kind of undercut on that one. But
Yep.
yeah, so Putin, it's just it's astonishing to me because like Russians were like one of the two go-tos for bad guys in your action movie. That like
Hello.
it's just
It
like
was either them or the British.
yeah. On the Ryland, just subscribed. Thank you.
And if you wanted
No,
to,
it wasn't
if you
them or the
want
British. It was them or the Germans.
for American movies, almost
For
always
America,
like the supervillain's fucking British.
I'm not talking about supervillains. I'm thinking like Indiana Jones fighting the Nazis,
I mean, so
or Harrison Ford fighting. I think they were
so
supposed to be Middle Eastern, but like it
you
was
get a
very
British.
Russian-esque.
So the way I've typically seen it works is like if you have an espionage thing, you probably have a Russian villain. If you want to go with a allegory for Holocaust or something referencing the Nazis, you grab a German villain. And if you want a villain with money, it's almost always they're British.
Yeah, okay, that tracks. But yeah, no, it's so weird to me. Like all these action movies in the '90s, where like it's all Germans and Russians as the bad guys, and then you move on to now when the same people who watch Air Force One and are all gung ho at all the jingoism that's happening in there.
And they're
That
like, yeah, let's move to Russia. That's where we can have our real American freedom.
like I will fully admit I like Air Force One, but again, this is my penchant for horrible movies because it's such a bad movie, but it's fun. It's fun bad.
Have you
But
seen
like
one of the have you seen Run Hide Fight yet?
no.
Don't. You know
Okay.
what it is, right?
Nope.
That's Ben Shapiro's movie about how good guys with a
Oh,
gun
oh
solve
yeah,
school
yeah, yeah.
shootings.
That's the one. Wait, school shootings. I thought that was. I
No,
was
Run
picture.
Hide Fight was a school shooting.
Okay, I was picturing the one where Gina Carano is like a housewife on the plains.
No, Run Hide Fight was the school shooting. It was like a school shooting or a mall shooting, one of the two. It was a mass shooting movie
I think
where
God Awful Movies covered it, but yeah, no.
that would track.
I only watch the movies that they cover if they're available for free somewhere. And
Everything is available for free if you're willing.
no, sometimes it's hard to find the appropriate seeds.
Well, yeah, because nobody fucking bothers to
Yes, exactly.
download crap.
Yeah. Why would you bother pirating that shit?
There's no reason to torrent Run Hide Fight because
I'm
nobody
just
wants to
okay, Saris.
download it.
I'm a little bit disappointed at you that you didn't take the easy setup I gave you for an "I want your seed" joke.
I look, because by proxy that would mean I wanted some seed that had to do with Ben Shapiro, and I want to
Okay,
avoid that
that's fair.
at
That's
all
fair. Oh
possible.
my God. Okay. I don't have any tweets for this, and I didn't pull a news item for this, but I just remembered it. Have you seen the pictures of MAGA people going to Trump rallies with the containers of JD Vance cum?
Yes, I have.
What the fuck? What the fuck
Yeah,
is going on with that? Did they
I
find those in their
don't
couch
know.
cushions?
I I don't know.
Like they were looking
It
for spare change in the couch cushions and they just found some JD
you
Vance
said,
cum, so they scrape it into the little jar for
God, have you seen Charlie Kirk like playing coy with the word weird in relation to this kind of shit? Because
because it's
like
fucking weird. And then
because
they like take a picture of like I think it's Walz's stepdaughter or Kamala's stepdaughter, one of their
it's
stepdaughters, as
yeah.
has like a pixie cut and some tattoos, and
Mhm.
so they're like, she's weird. Like,
Yeah, so
no,
Charlie
that's
Kirk
just
would be like, "Dare I say it's weird?" Like, dare you say, "My guy, weird isn't a fucking slur. It's only a slur when we say it about you guys." Like, oh my God. Stop says, check your DMs. There's something worse than cum cups.
oh no.
Oh
Oh no. Send it.
no!
Am I going to be able to show this on stream?
Yes, you will. It's the.
Send it.
Do you
Send
remember
it.
the dude who did
No,
the
just send
rap at
it.
the
Just
beginning of the
send it.
RNC?
Just send it.
No, I am sending it to you. I'm just saying so you know the dude.
Oh yeah, I have seen this picture. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I do not understand the mentality of people like that. I don't. But I mean, if you
Hello.
really think 79-year-old Malthussy is worth it, then I guess getting a
Hey, I don't have
life-size
it. I don't
fleshlight.
have it up yet. Rosina says, speaking of bad movies, Chuck Norris is in the new Agent Recon movie on Hulu Disney Plus. He was green screen in a lot of scenes. He wasn't on set. Yeah, he's
I'm not weird, right?
uh, Image. Where's the image? Image source. Image source. There we go. Do not make it visible yet, so you don't have to see me resizing it and shit. I'm getting better at this as I go.
We need to get you a portable second monitor.
I have a portable second monitor. It's just a piece of shit, so I didn't bother bringing it.
Oh, so we still need to get you one, just one that doesn't suck.
Yeah. I feel bad though because that was one that I put on my wish list, so somebody bought for me, and I didn't know it sucked till I had it.
Fair.
Although I did get a lot of use out of it. That was they bought it for me when my kids were in swimming lessons still. So like I would bring it with me to the Y as they were swimming, and so I'd be working as they were swimming. But yeah, so there's the Trump blowjob doll.
It's just
It's
Tails
just
says,
like,
is that for
what do
you?
I even?
For
I think the
Forgiato
cum
Blow?
cups are worse. I think the cum cups are worse.
What
It's
if you
one
just poured
thing.
the cum cup in the?
Yeah, I mean it's one thing to fantasize about someone that you really like sucking your dick, and so you get a sex doll of him and use it for that. Like that's one thing. That is relatively normal. It's weird that it's Trump, but in general, that is a relatively normal-ish thing, normal adjacent. It's not quite normal, but it's close enough.
Wait,
I,
do you know
can
the reason for
understand
the?
it.
Wait, do you know the reason for the cum cups?
Yes, I know the
'Cause-
reason for the cum cups, but I'm getting to the point where like it's one thing to fantasize about someone you like sucking your dick.
Yeah.
It is completely different to carry around cum effigies of someone that you like. That is a whole new next level weird. So
Specifically,
I disagree. I say the cum cups are weirder than the Trump blowjob doll.
specifically the cum. I think the cum cups are worse as well, but only because of the reason they're carrying it around.
No, I think it independent of the reason, they are worse. I will agree that the reason is worse.
Yeah, the reason is fucking awful. I didn't
It's-
realize until I looked it up. Apparently, the reason they're doing it, for people in chat who don't know, the reason is a cruel dig at infertile families, because JD Vance has gone on the record to say that people who do not have kids should literally get fewer votes in our democracy. So they're carrying around cum cups as a way to make fun of people who are infertile.
Yeah, specifically people who need IVF.
Yep.
And
oh yeah, there has been
Dark Falcon came into the video just as
a
we
lot
were
of
talking about cum cups.
anti-IVF posts lately. Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know what's going on my end.
Oh god damn it! It's literally because of Tim Walls too.
Yeah, because
Walls
it wasn't IVF. It was like the IUI.
Yeah, because they struggled to have kids for years until they finally had one in 2001.
Yeah, and they used IUI for that.
Who the fuck votes for these people? I'm sorry. No, I'm done. I'm done playing around with these fucking people, okay? I'm done. If you are a type of person who thinks that it's okay to vote for this kind of shit, this is the kind, like, you are this kind of person? No, I'm sorry. You deserve to literally put your teeth on a curb and have a pregnant woman shove your face down. That is what you deserve. Whether or not that happens to you, I don't fucking know. Oh. I'm not going to make it happen.
Have you seen that the MAGA crowd are making fun of Tim Walz because he said that he understands what it's like to go through the IVF thing? He empathizes with IVF people because he's done it himself, and they're like, "Oh, he didn't do IVF, he did IUI." I
don't.
Okay,
God,
it's the same damn thing. Like, I mean,
every single thing these dipshits say makes me like Walz more.
If you don't assume that a little bit of cum in a cup is a human being because there's also an egg there, if you don't start with that as an assumption, then IVF and IUI are basically the same thing. Like, it's fertilization procedure. Like, usually IUI is like the precursor to IVF, but it's like medically assisted pregnancy, essentially.
These people make me angry. Like, actively make me angry.
They're getting on his case, but like, oh, see, he's a liar because he, said two medical procedures that are very similar are the same.
This is like somebody saying that somebody's a liar for calling themselves a Christian when they're actually a Mormon. Like, bitch, it's a different flavor.
We have a tweet for that today, Cyrus. You are so
Of
good at predicting the tweets.
of course we do.
But
Well, the no,
anyway, I
oh,
think
it's
we've
not much of a prediction. It's the no true Scotsman fallacy. We've
yeah,
gone over it a
yeah.
billion times.
I know, but
But
but you got the exact like you predicted the exact like how often have we talked about how Mormons aren't real Christians? Like this might be the first time on the show, but you predicted it. You are fucking psychic, Cyrus. Just lean
uh,
into it. Lean into it.
that
You have the power.
all right, guys. Whenever I use my attacks on fighting type Pokemon, it does double damage. Just so you know. Also,
Thank
I'm
you for
broken in
subscribing,
Generation One.
Morbid Palace, not Morbid Place.
Just
I remembered.
I do not understand. I do not understand these kinds of people. So there's a
Lord of
so
Uzkalak
there was
wants
a
you to pick lotto numbers.
so
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many numbers are there?
so okay. Here's the thing. I was having a conversation at the card shop with one of the guys there who I play with all the time. And the
You play with guys
conversation,
all the time? Clip that.
yes,
Cyrus plays with guys all the time.
we play card games and I suck my girlfriend's dick. What do you want?
Oh,
So we not at the same time, usually.
Usually.
So
Hey, Cyrus,
yes.
we've just explored my sexuality previously, so we know that like get us in a room, I'll suck your dick.
Okay, cool. Don't want that,
So
but thank you anyway. I appreciate it.
oh,
But during the last tournament, there was a conversation about racism of all things. While we were like right after our game, and it was something about like people who are conservative and are like very very cruel about it, and not quite to this level, but the kind of cruelty where it's cruelty to the person that it's happening to, but it doesn't feel like cruelty to the conservative person, right? So like, let's say you're a homophobic parent, but it's because you think that your kid is going to go to hell if they're gay.
hmm.
Technically, you are engaging in cruelty in every way, shape, and form. But in your mind, from your perspective, you're not. From your perspective, you're trying to save your kid, which is incorrect, but it is still a perspective you've got to understand in order to approach that person. So we were having that conversation about racism in regards to somebody who like is upset that a black person got a job over them because they've been told by like 12 other pundits that
Wait.
DEI hiring is a thing,
Black
right?
people and white people can work at the same jobs? I thought there were black jobs.
God damn it. But
I'm sorry, continue.
and he was saying he couldn't understand that mentality of somebody being racist because of that. And I went, I kind of can though, because if you are an individual who is constantly having a bad information reinforced to you about DEI hires and
Yeah.
about how two people who are equally qualified, but the black person must get it. You're having all that information, so you're like, oh, I must have been equally qualified because of course I am. Not looking at the black person's PhD, right? Like
Yeah.
you're going off of incorrect information. You're
So
going off of misinfo from like Shapiro and Walsh.
so I can actually empathize with that because I was once in a situation where it wasn't a DEI thing, it was a seniority thing where I was denied a promotion and I was actually explicitly told we couldn't decide between the two of you, so we just went based on seniority. And the like looking back on it, it's just so wild that this even happened in the first place. Because like I had worked at the company for 3 months, and the person who beat me
Mhm.
for the job worked there for like 3 months and 2 weeks.
So seniority.
Yeah, so it was literally like we were both like it literally was just they couldn't decide between the two of us, and it was like, okay, well that person's been here for 2 weeks longer, so sure, give it to them. And this was a unionized place, but it was also a fucking call center. So
Yeah.
like
The
it was one of those weird things where like I was promoted to a supervisor position. Fun fact, when you ask to speak to the supervisor in a call center, it's not an actual supervisor. It's just a normal rep who happens to be better at talking to people than most of the regular
yeah.
reps. Because like I didn't like there was no pay difference as far as like we were processing rebates and the difference between what I could do and what the regular reps could do. The only difference was that I could use my own discretion when to put a rush on something, whereas the reps
Hmm.
had to wait until it was like 5 weeks past the expected arrival date. That was
So
literally the only difference.
yeah, I mean that's one of the situations where you're like, it's technically, I am the supervisor because I've been here a while and I
Well,
can
that
talk
was
with people without getting
that
them
was part
mad.
of my application was that like within a couple weeks they made me a supervisor. And
Jay
honestly,
Rodimus, thank you for resubscribing.
oh yeah, while we're doing that, Rosina Keller for $5 says, "Do you think that Alec Jones might flee the country to Russia?" No, I don't think so, because a lot of the high profile right wing nut jobs are like they will not put their money where their mouth is. They will
Also
talk about
for
how wonderful Russia is, but they don't want to actually live there.
also for somebody like Alex Jones,
Although Alex Jones, I could maybe see an argument for him fleeing to Russia because then he could get away from the judgments.
right, but also Alex Jones doesn't know how to keep his mouth shut. And if he went to Russia, he's as good as dead.
Yeah,
Like at the level of prolific that he is in Russia, him running his mouth, he would eventually say something that would get him killed.
quite
110%.
possibly. Yeah.
Um,
Ordinarily, I would say that that's a little bit more conspiratorial than I like, but seeing as how everyone that opposes Putin publicly in Russia and gets traction behind that ends up mysteriously dead in a plane crash or by polonium poisoning or something, like, yeah, no, you're
yeah.
not wrong.
Dees really is my last name. Thank you for resubscribing. So the resubscribing for five
Wait,
months too.
Dees is their last
Yeah,
name?
Dees.
Is your first name Nuts? Because that would be amazing.
Nuts Dees. The
No, because then
to
because then on all the government's forms, like, it's last name first name last. So D's
nuts
nuts. I'm
to
applying
finish
for a passport for D's nuts.
the conversation from before though, when we were talking, I was basically having to go like, I can understand the position they're coming from. They're wrong, but like we almost always have the conversation to those people of you're a bigot, you're not caught up with the times, you're this type of person. And the problem is that from their perspective, they're not. So we're calling them something they don't think applies to them. And they
Yeah,
believe that they have an argument because like they didn't get hired for a position or what have you, whatever the situation ends up being. So we always
yeah,
end up talking past each other as opposed to looking at the foundational problem, which is you believe misinformation, and that misinformation happens to be bigoted. So we don't have the correct conversation. So I was willing to have that conversation at the card shop, and then lo and behold, this Tim Walls cum cup shit. This that is the level to where I can't understand because there's being a bigot because you don't know any better or because you have lots of misinformation, and then
yeah,
there's let's actually engage in performative cruelty. I think my line for this person can be educated for the better is performative cruelty. Once we are at that stage, I do not think anybody can change your mind. The only thing that can change is like you and a therapist and other things that I'm not allowed to say on YouTube. So
yeah,
I don't know. Like that's that once you get to that level, it's much.
yeah.
Dees also says, no, my first name is Reed.
Oh.
Reed Dees nuts.
Yeah, there we go. Neuromptoputs has been a member for 12 months, and sent a message 12345. That's the kind of combination an idiot has on his luggage. That's the combination on my luggage. I don't understand.
But I'm not an idiot. I would never. Also,
I
Sakura,
do
thank you for
get the
starting a
reference.
hype
Thank you,
train.
Neuromptoputs.
Um, Also, Kevin, the Golden Bolt, one of my other content creator friends on non-political Twitter, just posted that I get a little kick out of knowing that our future vice president might know who Big the Cat is. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, the Sega Dreamcast story that came out about Tim Walls
Yes.
made me very endeared toward him because I'm just sitting there like, I too lost many hours to Sonic Adventure, Tim. I understand.
Yeah, I get it. Okay, shall we do some tweets?
Sure, do we only have the one news
Yes.
item today?
Yeah, we did because, like I said, I'm on fucking vacation, man.
You are on vacation. You're doing,
I wasn't
you know
gonna
what?
spend the day reading depressing news.
But
Instead, I
that's the
spent the
best
day.
kind of news.
So here's the thing. As much as I hate Twitter, it is actually a good news aggregator when you're looking for news to talk about,
Yeah.
because there will often be right-wing nut jobs posting things that aren't actually true, but like the headline makes it seem like it's backing them up. So like that's a lot of times that's where I get my news. So like while I was looking for news, I just kept on finding more tweets, and I'm like, this it's going to be too long of a show because I need to actually be on time tonight for the kids to go to bed.
Mhm.
Um, and so like I eventually it was just like, nope, I'm good with the one news item, and like we've been going for almost an hour now, and
We've always got
that's
stuff to talk about.
yeah.
I feel like this is the same thing that happened when me and Ocean did Hammered Out. Like 80% of the show is the topic we're trying to talk about. The other 20% is, hey, let's catch up on things.
I feel like we're the opposite. So I don't know that Ocean
May
has. I don't know that Ocean has our ADHD power.
No, he has it just as badly as I
Oh,
do.
does he? Okay.
So take it for so it he lives like 35, 40 minutes away from me. If we are both in a room together doing anything, the power of squirrel is immense. It really is.
Okay. Well, let's look at some tweets. We're going to start with a Cameron. Oh, where are the tweets? There they are.
Oh, there he is, cropped off to the side slightly.
Um, yeah, no, I was not.
It's fine. It
I was
works.
I was not careful. So I do have the mouse. I'm not sure why I didn't get the mouse out, but because I'm working with the trackpad, I was like, fuck it, I don't care.
That's entirely
Trackpad's
understandable.
trackpad is sketchy as fuck. So
It does its best.
yeah, he says, by the way, if you regularly engage in sinful behavior without any attempt to do better, you probably don't have a relationship with Jesus. I will. I picked this one because I'm like, you know what? It's time we gave Cameron a win. This is correct. I do not have a relationship with Jesus, and I engage in behaviors that he considers sinful with no attempt to not do that anymore, which I guess me and him would disagree that that counts as doing better. But
But wait, there's another side to this that's kind of strange.
yeah,
So
it's Cameron. Of
if
course there is.
if you're a Christian, you accept that you're living in a fallen world, so you accept that you're always living in sin. You are constantly engaging in sinful behavior, specifically sinful behavior you cannot do better at. You literally live as
It's about the
sinful.
trying, though. As long as you recognize that you are a piece of shit and feel guilty about it,
Oh yeah,
then you are
you've got to
trying to
be
do better.
shameful
Remember,
constantly.
he's a Catholic now. Actually, so he walked back his public. I don't know if you saw this, but like he walked back his public declaration that he's a Catholic.
Okay.
Um, and I suspect that was for monetary reasons because he's still like when you see what he responds to and other stuff on Twitter is like he's still a Catholic. He's arguing with people about whether or not Mary had a penis inside her. That's a Catholic thing because the Protestants don't really care. They're just like Jesus had brothers and sisters. It's weird that you're hung up on this.
Yeah, like
And
with
if the Protestants are calling you weird because you're hung up on something, then
you know who else was hung up on something?
Mary.
I was gonna say Jesus.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
I
Okay,
guess
different kind of hung up.
we had to cross that when we got there.
Ah, I got that one.
Um, I don't know. I guess that it's it's like this tweet. You're technically right for people who are atheists. Like we don't care.
Yeah.
But even from like the Christian perspective, there's nothing about having a relationship with Jesus that has to do with you trying to be better about being sinful necessarily. Like
Well, there's
even
that
that's
verse about
technically
the
true.
fruits will bear it out or whatever.
Yeah, but it's so weird because I grew up in like technically non-denominational but truthfully Southern Baptist, and for
Yeah.
there's all kinds of do not talk about works, only talk about salvation by faithisms.
Yeah.
So this is like there's a part of my brain from upbringing that's being scratched the wrong way by this.
Yep.
I don't know.
Uh, Karen Tuplin sent 20 Great British pounds, so like 2 cents nowadays, thanks to Brexit. Yay. Um, no, I'm kidding. I appreciate it. So get yourself some more beer and the kids an ice cream. Um, we're at an all-inclusive resort. I can have all the beer I want, and the kids can have all the ice cream they want. I actually, Two of my kids are grounded from ice cream today
Oh?
because
Oh, whoa.
we set up a rule where we like no milkshakes or ice cream or desserts or whatever until at least after lunch. Wait until after lunch. Like I don't care. It's all inclusive. Go nuts, have fun, but like be a little bit responsible with it, please. A little bit. Wait till after lunch. So 10 o'clock rolls around. They come to me, say, "Hey, we're going for lunch." I'm like, "What do you mean you're going for lunch? It's 10 o'clock." Like, well, we're going for lunch.
Wait, wait.
Like, it's 10 o'clock though. Like, oh well, what's her face? My partner. I'm trying not to dox
Your
her.
your partner, what's her
No,
face?
no, no. I'm trying not to dox. Heidi is
I was
her
about to say
fake
she's
name.
always Heidi in the chat.
Yeah, but she's got a real name that is not Heidi, and I have doxed her at least 3 times, and she's doxed herself like 5 or 6 times. So I'm trying not to do it again.
Whose docs
But
is it anyway?
yeah. Um, so like I was like, okay, well, does she know that you're like going for lunch? She's like, yeah. Oh, and she's okay with you going for lunch this early? Yeah. So they went
And
for
then
lunch, and then they came back sucking on milkshakes because they had their lunch, and it's 10 in the morning. And
yeah.
she got there, and what it turned out they had interpreted as it's okay for them both to go for lunch early was she wanted us all to go for lunch together, and one of them was like, "Can I go by myself?" And she said, "That's a Papa question." And they both took that
Those
as
sneaky
yes,
kids.
yes. So they were not allowed any more treats today, um,
They
because
used it up already.
like I appreciate the attempt at sneakiness, but like come on, like if you're gonna be sneaky, just go for the fucking ice cream. Like this is a secured location. Like we're in Mexico, but we're not really in Mexico. It's a secured building. Even the shuttle drivers that drive people back and forth to the airport have to go through a security check on the way into the compound that we're staying on. It's a secure building, so I'm not worried about my kids running around places. So we have not been keeping that close of an eye on them. They could easily just go get a milkshake without telling us about it, and it would be and we would be none the wiser. Like, so if you're going to be sneaky about it,
But
just do
instead they
that. Instead they're lying to me about about what she said they were allowed to do. So it's like
oh
I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
mad. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
You're not mad about them trying to be sneaky. You're
I'm,
disappointed that when they tried, they didn't do a good enough job.
yes, exactly. I mean, that being said, it would not surprise me if they were also being actually sneaky and doing this anyway. So
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily disappointed. It's just that's what I expected. Okay, moving on. So we've got Culture Critic. This guy's been popping up in my feed a lot, and he posts some interesting stuff. But now I'm like, okay, he is now as a source, he is suspect, and anything he says, I'm gonna have to double check it now. Because before it's been like, oh, that's interesting, and it's just like it's been stuff that doesn't even matter. So like I haven't bothered fact checking it. But then he had a big long thread on the Shroud of Turin. I'm like, oh, I actually know a little bit about this. Let's see what the heck he's doing here. And so this was like in the middle of the thread somewhere. So
Okay.
like I'm not going through the whole thing. But he says, first, nobody has a clue how the image on the cloth was made. There's no pigment or dye present. It took me 2 seconds of Googling to find, because I'm like, I've heard that claim a bunch. I've never really looked into it. I just know that like it carbon dated to a time that was around the time when the knight who found it, and it was weaved using a pattern that existed around the time the knight who found it, but not previous to that. So it's like, okay, the knight who found it either faked it or bought it from someone who had faked it. It's like, okay, that seems like a pretty open and closed case. So I never even bothered to look into this, like, oh, nobody knows how the image was made bullshit. But then this
Mhm.
guy, who I have always kind of seen as like, having the bust of a Greek statue or whatever as a profile picture, that's usually a red flag that is a right wing nut job. But this person seems to not be that. He's just posting interesting things.
Mhm.
It's like, okay, I can deal with that. But then we get to this and it's like, oh, no pigment or dye present in the fibers. I'm like, okay, I'm actually going to look this up. 2 seconds of Googling. Um, it was like red ochre with gelatin was the dye that was used for most of it, but then it was also dyed with vermilion. So it's like
So we know the exact things,
we know
and
the
yet,
exact things that were used to dye the thing. There is no mystery about how was this image created. Somebody painted it, is how it was created.
yeah, we know the things. Jesus
So it's like,
Christ.
yeah, that's who is supposedly there. And then like later on in the thread, I should have gotten a screenshot of this as well, but he was like saying that like, oh well, the this is evidence that the paintings we have of Jesus' face from like hundreds of years before the shroud was found were actually like authentic because the paintings match what the shroud showed. It's like, or the guy who faked the shroud faked it in such a way that he looked like people expected Jesus to look because nobody would buy it if it was what an actual Middle Eastern man from that time period looked like.
Hmm.
So, yeah, it was just a whole bunch of like just credulity at every claim about the shroud, which all of them are so easily disproved. But I guess this was with regards to like there was a new X-ray study done. With well, they say new, but I didn't actually look into the X-ray study, but apparently it's a few years old at least, and they didn't really find anything dating wise. But like there was one thing that they found that has been blown up to it has now been confirmed to be 2,000 years old. Like everything else about it says that it's from the 1300s, but we found one thing that maybe says it's 2,000 years old, and I haven't actually looked into it, but I guarantee it's a nothing burger because everything else with the shroud has always been a nothing burger. Every time there's been something
Every
like
time.
they say that they can't explain this, so I will Google it, and you're like, oh yeah, first result, that's the explanation for that, and it's something that is it matches with it being from the 1300s.
It's always they always have to spin it, basically. Like if you it's like how you know those like really bad pop science articles where they don't really know what a study said, but they kind of glanced at the abstract, and so they'll be
Mm,
like, "This means
I
aliens
am
fucked rabbits on in a spaceship," and you're like, "That's not
so
what that said."
I think it's my Matt Powell video that's coming out this Friday. If not, it's the
Hmm.
one before that, where he gets into that. Um, Matt Powell, Matt Powell aficionados will remember the Tech Times article that he said was his trump card in the Science Falsely So Called movie.
Yeah.
Um, so that was Tech Times had misunderstood one sentence of a paper, and they were like, okay, all the animals were came into existence 1 to 200,000 years ago at about the same time. And of course, Matt Powell took that and was like, see, 90% of animals were created together simultaneously.
Well, 90% of animals means that it wasn't like how the Bible described it, which
Yeah,
was
that was
in 2 days.
that was my first thing was that 90% is quite a bit less than 100%. Like
Yep.
that's not all the percents. And you are saying that all the percents of animals were created together. But no. But he took that from his trump card, and I'm just gonna fucking take credit for this. Because like I don't take credit for much, but I know for a fact that Matt watches my videos,
Yeah.
and I have seen him adjust his arguments ever so slightly based on what I respect, like the age of grass being one of them. So like in one of his videos, he talked about what's it called, behemoth eating grass like an ox. Well, he showed B-roll clip of a sauropod dinosaur eating not grass, and I made fun of him for that. And on top of that, I was like, I because it was just a joke, I didn't really do in-depth research into it, so I was like, okay, and grass didn't even evolve until like 10 million years after dinosaurs went extinct. But I missed that. Like I went with an old source, and the newer sources they found dinosaur poop with grass in it. So like, yes, grass did evolve before then. And Matt Powell
Hmm.
took that as like, the one time he was right and I was wrong, and that is now something that he like hammers on every time it comes up.
So wait, I'm guessing he'd just be like, no, you're not right all the time, and I can prove it. Like that one time this happened.
Yeah, basically. Um,
Just
and
a
so
that reminds me, never if you're like a competitive player in any game, the number one thing a coach will always tell you is never hold on to your victories. Never,
yeah,
ever, ever hold on to your victories.
Matt does that. Yeah, so I'm going to take credit for this for Matt. So there was also like because I completely eviscerated him with the Tech Times thing. It went from being his trump card to now he's looking at a news article that misunderstood the Tech Times news article that misunderstood the study, and so now we're like 4 steps removed in the telephone game, but it still goes back to the Tech Times study, which opens with the 2 lines about how like no, we actually our findings support evolution, and we used evolution to find these findings. And like, no, you guys are idiots for saying that we suggested Adam and Eve from this study, which that's what he gets to now because it's a different claim. But like this time, instead of it being his trump card, he like brushes past it in like one sentence.
Yeah,
So I'm
that
taking
sounds
credit for
about
that,
foul.
even though this is less explicit than the grass thing. I'm still taking credit for this because I know he watches my shit and he's afraid of me because he challenged me to a debate and then he deleted the challenge as soon as people started noticing it. So yeah, you know what? He's a horrible human being, and I have a clip of him calling for the death penalty for LGBTQ people, um, which I guess includes me now, doesn't it?
I
Wow,
guess so.
that actually hits differently.
If you'll
Like,
suck guy dick, then welcome to their
hmm.
community. I guess you're here. I've been told I'm part of it as well, though I don't necessarily agree. Eh,
So yeah, no, I'm this. We're new processing for
he
me here
wants you to die.
because that hits differently. Like I have LGBTQ friends, and I know that
Yep.
he wants them dead, but now think
But
like,
now
oh,
he wants
he
you
wants
dead.
me dead, and
Yes.
like I know it's not like
Steven Anderson
it's not
also
a
wants you
it's not
dead.
a big degree of difference, but it's just like, oh
It's different when it's personal.
yeah,
Like when somebody aims a gun at your friend, there's a type of fear and a type of rage that you
mm.
experience. When somebody aims a gun at you, there's an entirely different type of fear and rage you experience.
I was about to say that's a good analogy, but like that's not even an analogy in this case. He literally wants
That's
that.
exactly what it is.
um, yeah. Oh, okay.
Yep.
I'm gonna need to process this before I talk about it more. So let's move on.
Yeah. There you
Okay.
go.
Gunter Eagleman, not Engelman. Engelman
I've
would
been
make
seeing
sense with
this
the
guy
first.
pop. I've been seeing this guy pop up everywhere lately.
I just love this one though. He says prediction: Kamala Harris will be out of politics making Doug sandwiches on November. I assume Doug is Kamala's husband. Either that or that's a really weird type
But
of sandwich.
why
She's
would she
making
be?
sandwiches out of a
She's
guy named
making.
Doug.
I don't understand that because this is a woman whose entire career
Okay, no,
has
sirs.
been.
It's even stupider than that, sir. Sirs, it's stupider than that. It
Mhm.
doesn't matter what happens on November 6th. If Trump wins, she's still the vice president until January
Until
20th.
inauguration. Yeah,
So he's wrong
it's
no matter what.
it's it's stupid on multiple levels, but one of the levels it's stupid on is that her entire career has been a political career with an upward trajectory. She's just gonna go find another thing to do in politics. She's a very capable
Hmm.
woman.
Absolutely. Like, she has been the most active vice president in American history. Did you know that?
That I did not know.
I mean, that's just a matter of the function of the office, because the reason she's been the most active is because she's cast the most she's cast the most tie-breaking votes. But that's because uh, it's a number of things. It's because the Republicans have become so partisan that they're unwilling to vote for anything proposed by a Democrat, no matter what. So a lot of things come down to a exact 50-50 in the Senate. But the only reason it could come down to an exact 50-50 was because of Manchin and Cinema for a while. So because of
Hmm.
that whole dynamic, so it's kind of a happenstance sort of thing more than a
She
thing
happens
that
to
she
be
should
more
brag
active
about.
because we've got a bunch of dinos.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah. Well, also as long as we're talking about Kamala, though, let's get into her record as a prosecutor because I think I did her dirty last time when I talked about how like oh she ran things in a way that like was bad for people of color and she like ignored stuff in this case that result like ignored evidence. Like there was a Brady violation where they didn't turn over evidence that one of the investigators or one of the forensic analysts or something was stealing drugs from the lab, and that led to like 600 cases being overturned.
Hmm.
Um, so that was when she was so the drug thing. That was when she was district attorney. That wasn't her case. That was one of her subordinates' cases.
Oh, so she wasn't
So
even the one directly
yes,
presiding.
so yes, it was a Brady violation, and it's her office, but it wasn't like she probably wasn't even aware that it was going on. Also, like people call her a cop because she kind of embraced that in her
But
2020 run,
she's
but
never actually been a
she
police
never was
officer.
actually a police officer, so she's not a cop. Um, and then there was something else, like there was another scandal when she was AG, but it was another thing that it was like the DA thing where it's like one of her subordinates did something that she was not necessarily aware of, and like even like the worst it could have been for her is like yeah she probably should have stopped this guy earlier, but it was like I forget exactly what it was, but like pretty much everything that the liberals have like that the liberals would concern um would say against her is not actually as bad as it sounds at first brush.
So it's spin. We are once
Yeah,
again at spin.
she has consistently been pro marijuana legalization.
Okay.
She has consistently been anti-death penalty to the point where when she was elected AG in her campaign, she said, "I will never recommend the death penalty." One like very early in her career after being elected AG, um, there was a very high-profile killing of a cop. It was a cop killer thing. So naturally, the police union and all the cops and the dead cop's family were all pushing for the death penalty. And she stuck to her guns and said, "No, I am not going to ask for the death penalty." So she
Okay.
like, and that was potentially very politically costly. So she was sticking to her ethical compass where like she is anti-death penalty and no I am not going to recommend the death penalty even though I am seeing pressure from all sides to recommend the death penalty in this case.
Okay.
So yeah, no, I think my little bit of pessimism at the beginning was like that was just me repeating talking points that I hadn't really looked into.
So it
um
so it's less that she's a cop and more that she's just been involved in the justice system at all.
Yes. Yeah. She's a
Okay.
prosecutor. She is a prosecutor. And yeah, the whole prosecutorial system needs reform, but it is a job that exists and some people have had. And she's been about as progressive as it's possible to be while being a prosecutor. Her congressional record for her time in Congress, she was the most progressive member of Congress the entire time she was in it. She
Okay.
like she beat out Bernie Sanders for being progressive. So I'm
I
coming
mean,
around.
that's a that's a that's
I
a
have
good
gone
set.
from tepid. Yeah, she's probably the best candidate just because you know because she is the vice president and that's the one that
Yeah.
the
She's the
Democrats
one
have
in the
gone.
position that
Like
makes the
I've
most
gone from
sense.
that to actually being a little bit excited for a Harris presidency.
Okay.
Like I was excited because like she seems like she would be better than Trump for sure, and she would be way better than Biden for sure. But like I've gone from just like that to like she might actually be progressive, like not just acting progressive for the votes, but like she
Because she's in
has
the
been
Democratic Party.
consistently progressive even for a Democrat. So like
Yeah.
I'm getting more excited about potential Harris presidency.
No, that's fair. I'm glad to hear that. I know that it's going to affect your vote so much.
Yeah,
Um,
my Canadian vote. There's an episode of Opening Arguments that goes into like they actually do a deep dive onto her history as a prosecutor. So
hmm,
I highly recommend that
okay. I'll have to watch
if
that at some point because that sounds so I am less knowledgeable about the broad strokes of Harris's rise to political power. Or less knowledgeable about the specifics rather. I know the broad strokes, the actual like trajectory that she took to get where she is, but I do not know about the specifics. So that would actually be a good way for me to figure that out.
yeah, like I mean she did botch her campaign and like she botched it pretty hard last time. But it seems like that's not happening this time. So yeah, I'm actually kind of excited for Kamala.
Okay.
All right,
Fair
moving on.
enough.
Oh, so this is just do you recognize this, Cirrus?
That's a social blade. That's a
Yeah,
social blade
yeah.
thing.
Do you know whose social blade that is? Can you guess?
Trump
Have nope. This so that's the number of tweets sent. So the negatives mean that whoever this is deleting tweets.
deleting tweets. Okay.
That's J.K. Rowling.
Oh, the gag order.
Yeah. Oh, her lawyer should have told her not to do that because like that is
Oh
bad. Like
no.
you
That
don't destroy evidence.
the
No.
internet. Oh no, the archives are gonna have all that anyway.
She's way too like everybody fucking has screenshots of all these tweets that she's deleting.
Oh no.
Yeah.
And we know that she is named in a lawsuit
Mm-hmm.
currently from Paris.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh boy. The best
Yeah.
thing to come out from this, I'm not gonna lie, the best thing to come out from this is that she has shut the fuck up for two
Yes.
weeks. And
Oh,
it's great.
Twitter has actually like noticeably improved in the 2 weeks that she's been quiet.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so good. And it makes me so happy because screw her, except don't.
Uh, Fennec the Rabbit says, I want Legal Eagle to look at this so bad. I would love for Legal Eagle to. I mean, I don't know that he would because this is like it's international law. Like she's being sued in France as a resident of the UK, so like the American lawyer might not have the best insight. Um, but yeah,
Yeah, still.
it made me happy when like somebody posted that and I was like, okay, I have to verify that. This is my screenshot. This is not that other person's screenshot. Um, yeah, it's pretty great.
Hmm,
Okay,
fair enough. I'm
JB
so
Thinking
tired of seeing
says,
this picture.
yeah, I know. He says this. So this is conspiracy stuff. This photo right here disturbs me the most. The complete lack of protocol, the looks on these agents' faces, two looking straight at the camera, the no blood on the cuffs or hand, the upside down flag. Hell, even the sky color looks fake. Wonder the names of these agents, their backgrounds, and what. Okay, whatever. He's saying all those reasons are why it's staged.
The
The flag.
tinfoil is so hard right now.
So the flag is upside down because it was actually like it's a horizontal flag, like it was flying horizontally, right, or whatever.
Like
And so it's
over.
yeah, so it's just like a camera angle thing. The two agents
But
looking directly at the camera.
you can also see that it's not attached to a pole the way
Hmm.
that you would have to have a upside down flag
Hmm.
attached.
Yeah. For the two agents that are looking directly at the camera, one of them doesn't even look like he's looking directly in the camera. The other one does, but like with those sunglasses, how do you fucking know where they're even looking? You don't.
Yeah.
You can't see their eyeballs. So no, you don't know that. And like the breach of protocol, like when has Trump ever cared about fucking protocol?
This is
When?
the dude who
And
immediately went to go find his shoes.
but on top of that,
Oh well.
so Morbid Palace cheered 50 bits, and doesn't look like there was a message with that. But yeah, on top of this, like yeah, breach of protocol. This is some serious Monday night quarterbacking shit. Like how do you like what would you do in a situation where you have been shot at and you're a public speaker in the running to be president of the United States, what would you do in that moment? What would go through your head? What would you
Not
don't
a
know.
bullet.
You don't. Yeah, my point is, you don't fucking know unless you're in that situation. I have been in life or death situations that I've handled with varying levels of what you should have done ness, whatever. Um, Sometimes I reacted in the way that, like, yeah, that actually probably saved my life the way I reacted. Other times I reacted in a way that was like, holy fuck, I'm lucky to still be alive after that stupid shit I did.
Yeah,
Because
because you realize that you
you
did
don't
it
fucking
dumb.
know. You don't know when you're in the moment. You're just running on adrenaline and you just do the thing that you do. You don't know why. Like when I first learned how to drive, um, I had a moment where I started turning left through traffic, and then I realized after I started turning that there was a car coming that like did not really have enough. Like I was going to get hit if I turned normally. So the appropriate thing to do would be just like stop. My teenage just learned how to drive brain was like, fuck, I gotta get through that intersection really quick. So I like floored it,
Yep.
and I ended up going over the curb, over the grass, in between two fucking poles of something like the traffic light on one side and like a sign post on the other side. Like either one I could have hit and it would have been really, really bad. And like, but I like made it directly through them. I didn't fucking know they were there. That was pure luck. And my mother was like, "Oh, you steered that really well to avoid those two things," because she, I just learned how to
And you're
drive.
just like,
She
no,
legally had to be there with me. No, I didn't tell her that I didn't know. You're like, yeah, yeah, no, I absolutely aimed for that really good space there. But like, that was a really fucking stupid thing to do. But
that's
like,
this.
that's what happens when you're in those situations. You don't fucking. And so like Trump, he's been trained for years and years and years and years and years. You do the thing that looks good for the camera.
Mm-hmm.
He's been doing that his whole life. You do the thing that looks good for the camera.
And he did. I hate to
And
say
he
it. He did the
did the
right
thing
thing for
that
the
looks
camera.
good for the camera. That is a fucking awesome picture. If you're a Trump fan, that's such
Yeah,
a
it
powerful
is.
picture.
And it is important to recognize that, because if you can't recognize that, then you can't get into the heads of the people you're trying to convince.
That is just as powerful a picture as the guy with the Confederate flag in the Capitol.
Yeah.
It is. They're like, if you're denying that, you're just in denial.
Yeah, you don't
Like,
under like you're letting your bias
so
of not liking these people get in the way of that objective like analysis.
yeah, and like the idea that like, oh well, they broke protocol to do that. It was a life and death situation. Protocol is going to get broken. What, like,
Yep.
especially like we're talking about Trump. When has he given two hoots about protocol?
Never and a half.
Yeah.
Never and a half.
So like, yeah, no, this whole conspiracy. It doesn't matter which side it's coming from. The whole it's a conspiracy thing. It's like, no, it was a guy with a gun, and all evidence points to him just being someone that just wanted to make a name for themselves.
Yeah. Occam's razor is a really, really cool tool that we should use more often. Cut as many assumptions as you can out of an argument and look at what you have left.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we've got Joey. So
Again,
don't react to the first bit because who fucking cares about that? It's the last sentence that
why
I
would
want
I
to get
not
to.
care about everything that
He
a
said,
black woman says?
so he says, if I earn 150,000 in gains from a cryptocurrency, why should I have to pay part of that to the government? Because you do. But then he says, does anyone realize how this is rape?
How is huh?
No, that is not rape.
What?
That is not rape.
I would like to insert
That
my
is
hands into your crypto
that
wallet,
is
sir.
that is tax. That is not
Yeah,
a
tax is not
very
rape.
personal violation of
Like
like the most violent nature.
like if we wanted to be completely callous, taxes gets you roads, rape gets you trauma. There's a
Yeah,
difference.
the huge difference.
Like in terms of one of these takes a little bit of what you earned in order so that you can have certain things in society that you always take advantage of, but you also always take for granted. Nothing productive comes from rape.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing productive comes from rape.
Correct.
And if somebody wants to go, well, there was a kid who was meant, shut the fuck up, you're wrong, and maybe quit talking.
Yeah.
Maybe
Well,
stop.
so I live in Canada. If I pay taxes on $150,000 in capital gains, um, then those taxes that I paid, literally a portion of that goes to like saving people's lives that couldn't afford medical care. That's not rape.
No,
Saving
it's
people's
not.
lives is not even remotely equivalent to that.
Again, I don't understand how he, as a noted black woman, would have said this.
Uh, Dream 10 says taxes have progressed from theft to rape. How long before taxes are necrobestiality?
I mean, they tried to make that argument for gay marriage once upon a time, saying that,
Yeah.
oh, what gay marriage happens? What happens next if you want to fuck your dead dog? Like, what? How? How did we get to that?
Yeah, you know what? I've sucked a human dick. I have no desire to do that for a dog.
Nope, not at all.
Nope,
Not at all.
not even a little bit. There is no
Just
slippery slope there.
if anybody is wondering why I'm constantly saying he as a
Hello?
black woman, just so y'all know, Joey. One of the
Yeah,
things that made
okay.
Joey famous on the internet was posing as a black woman by saying, I am a true black American woman, and I've been black my whole life. I was born black, and I'll die black. My mommy was black. My daddy was black. I will never cast a ballot for that Kamala Harris woman as long as I live. Trump all the way, all day, every day.
But he forgot to log into his sock
But he
account to
forgot to
do
log into the sock account.
that.
Just
So
so y'all know.
yeah, no, that was not just using black woman as an insult generically. That was a
No, that
specific.
was a thing he did.
Yeah. Rosina sent $2. Says, "Is Joey a real person?" I'm inclined to think yes, because I follow Joey, and the amount of stupid shit he posts that is not engagement bait kind of makes me believe that he's like it. He's a if he's not a real person, he's better at being a real person than Nick Adams, who is verifiably a real person, despite the fact that I no longer pull tweets of his because it's so obviously not real.
Yeah.
So,
Sarah Chikorita says, how many people have got caught doing this so far? A lot.
lots.
There's
Yeah.
a lot.
There's probably a whole subreddit dedicated to it.
Ay,
Joey again says, if Kamala had the black vote locked up, she wouldn't be pulling out so many black artists. She's trying to recreate the BET Awards here. I'd just like to point
the
out
BET Awards?
BET Awards. Are you not supposed to say BET?
Well,
I don't
no,
know.
because
Okay.
it's an abbreviation for an actual
Yeah.
television channel.
So?
They always call themselves the BET.
Okay.
As far as I remember.
Okay. I don't know. In my defense here, I don't watch any awards shows or any TV, so I don't know any of the networks or how they pronounce their things. So
That's fair. It was like one channel off from, I think it was Comedy Central when I was growing up, so
sure.
I flick past it all the time.
But yeah, anyways, my main thing here is that so the right actively tries to get celebrities to their shit, and they end up with people like Kid Rock, who is irrelevant at best. Whereas, like,
but he has a concert for dozens of people.
But on the left, like, it's artists who are actually excited for this, and like one of the things that I've been hearing is that like the music at the DNC is just so much better than the Republican stuff because artists are actually like comfortable letting the DNC use their music.
Because they know that most of the time the DNC is not going to end up advocating for a policy that's going to disenfranchise their fucking audiences.
Yeah. So
like they're not going to have to worry about their human rights getting violated. It's weird, right?
Yeah, so maybe it's not that she is pulling out black artists, it's that black artists are excited for Kamala. Like, just saying.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and Hulk Hogan. I forgot about Hulk Hogan.
Also,
Fuck
Also,
me.
it's
I need you to fuck me in that pussy, brother.
brother. I
And
need
if
you
you,
to grab this handlebar mustache, brother.
oh, if you don't get
I
those
need you to
jokes, please watch
ride.
last week's streams. I promise this makes sense, sort of. I mean,
I'll
not
take you for a
really,
ride,
but a
brother.
little bit. There's fan art. Oh God.
Come on, brother. I'll help you find the clip, brother.
Oh yeah. Trump used the Titanic music. I forgot about that. So Celine
Heart
Dion,
will
he
go
used he
on.
used "My Heart Will Go On," and Celine Dion put out a statement being like, "We need him to stop using my music. He doesn't have permission for that." But also, like, that song, you're using the song for a sinking ship for your fucking campaign? What?
Yeah.
It's like the analogy is too easy here, but please stop. But I just love that the official like press release asking Trump to stop ended with "and really that song." Like that's not even a paraphrase.
Yeah.
That's the literal words. It was great. Uh, okay, here we go. Mike Winger. This is a bad guy fight.
Oh
I love.
boy.
I pulled this because Mike Winger is on record as saying that he practices Christianity the same way that Jesus did it. He does the same Christianity that they did in the first century. So I thought this was hilarious because he says Mormons often think I'm being mean when I say that Mormonism and Christianity are incompatible, but Mormons said it first. Blah blah blah. Mormons saying that Catholics and Protestants are evil, but like notice
Okay.
that they said Catholics and Protestants, not Christians, because they consider themselves to be the true Christians. So Christianity and Mormonism are really how it's supposed to be. And then a Mormon responded with a more accurate depiction of our belief that we adhere to actual Christianity that was taught in the first and second century. True New Testament Christianity is compatible because we are the restored New Testament church. You can gate Christianity all you want, but I follow Christ, not the creeds. So I just thought this was beautiful because Mike is a person who says, I follow Christianity as it was in the first century. And then a Mormon responds to him being like, no, we are true Christians because you don't follow Christianity as it was in the first century. We do. And I'm just sitting back here eating my popcorn. Bad guy fight. Bad guy fight.
You're just this is the I think it was I want to say this was a Matt Dillahunty observation a long time ago where some of the most fascinating debates to watch are ones between two Christians where they come on two
Hello?
completely
Because
opposite ends of like a social issue where they're using the Bible to support it, whether it be
mm-hmm.
women preachers, gay marriage, anything involving gay people, honestly, um, or like taxation, like all of these things. You'll get Christians on both sides arguing using the Bible
Mm-hmm.
to come to two different conclusions.
Because the Bible is ultimately not a very useful book.
This is
Because
like
it just
freaking Joel Webben going, my position is the Christian position. What the fuck does that mean, Joel? What does it mean? I
there are
don't know what
40
that
there are
means.
45,000 denominations. You got to tell me which one you're associating with.
Which of the 44, I mean 47,
I
I mean
literally
49, I mean 51 books are we using?
I
Ay,
literally no 66 books, Cyrus. 66 is the
another
most
of you.
common 66 is the most common Protestant Bible. I think the Catholics have
5 more for the Catholic Bible, I believe, right?
yes, it'd be 71. And then I think the Ethiopian Orthodox Bible is 81.
Well,
Um, so Rosina Keller said the estate of Isaac Hayes, noted Scientologist, is also suing Trump for unlicensed music use. Doesn't surprise me. And Dark Falcon is a member for 3 months, who's basic. Your pH is 14.
73 for the Catholic
Says
Bible, actually. I was wrong.
Christians, we try to gatekeep each other and fail.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, there's oh, Secular Scholar says I follow Austin 316. I just whooped your ass. So fun fact about Austin 316, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Um, I never watched wrestling as a kid. I always looked at it and was like, I can clearly see they are not hitting each other, so this is fake as fuck, and it's just a bunch of dudes rolling around in speedos. I'm not interested in this. So sexuality wise, yeah, no, I'm attracted to women, not dudes in speedos. So got it. But yeah, no, that doesn't mean I won't get down and dirty with Austin 316. But yeah, no, the first time I heard of Stone Cold Steve Austin was in grade 6. I had just transferred schools, and the other kid named Justin leaned over to me and was like, "Do you know Austin 316?" And I was like, and no, I didn't know because I didn't watch wrestling. So I was like, I don't know, is that a band or something? And so that interaction firmly enshrined me as one of the not cool kids for the entire time I was at that school because
Wow. Because you didn't watch wrestling.
because I didn't watch wrestling. So they were like, "Oh, this idiot thought that Austin 316 was a band. Oh, what an idiot."
God, I remember
Middle school was so weird.
When I was growing up in elementary school, I tried to like wrestling because I had one friend who was really into it and had a bunch of like the figurines from back when it was WWF still, and a bunch of my other friends had like the N64 games and stuff. I liked playing the video games for it because they were fun and they had character creators.
I was about to say I well, I don't care about the character creators, but yeah, the video game was fun.
I cared about the character creators because back then that was a rarity. Like we didn't have games back then didn't really have the scope for a character creator. That was usually not something that could be fit into that cartridge.
To be fair, I actually kind of despise character creators in general. I just want to play the game. I don't want to create a character. Just like give me a character and I will play.
That's entirely fair. It was for me, it was the first time that I had ever played a fighting game because the wrestling games are basically fighting games with different rules. It was the first time that I ever played a fighting game that had a character creator before like Mortal Kombat and Soul Calibur would end up getting character creators as well. And for all of the games, it's a separate thing you can do if you choose to, but you never have to. But like I tried really hard to like wrestling when I was a kid, but as an adult, I can't remember anything at all. Like I remember that I liked Goldberg for a time, and I don't know why I did. I remember all of my friends like Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock for obvious reasons. Steve Austin was literally the person who was showrunner at the time. He was the John Cena of the Attitude Era. Like I get all that.
I don't get all. This is the first time hearing about that, even as an adult that know. Like the only thing I know about Stone Cold Steve Austin today is that it's fun to make jokes about the geologist from Answers in Genesis who is also named Steve Austin.
No, because I know
he studies rocks. He studies stones. He studies cold stones. So he's Stone Cold Steve Austin. So I make jokes about it, and then nobody gets the jokes because apparently Steve Austin is old news.
Well, yeah, because he's not part of the lineup anymore. Like wrestling has eras. And we left the Attitude Era a long time ago, and that's the era that he was part of.
I didn't know that he was part of that era. I just know that it's funny that there's a geologist named Stone Cold Steve Austin.
So wrestling is one of those things that I want to get into. I want to like, but I never can. And it just as a fun thing, the video game that I'm voicing in, one of the people associated with the video game is Drew Gulak, who was one of the wrestlers for WWE in the last couple of years. His contract ran out, but he's associated with the game too. And like my director, now that I'm not under NDA and I can talk about things now, my director was like, "Hey, we could get you and Drew talking about something," and I'm like, "That's cool. What would we talk about?" I have no idea what we would talk about.
Is he at least an atheist?
Like it's whether or not he is, it's probably not a good idea for that to be the conversation where he's concerned. Because I don't know.
Today on Twit Tweets we have a person who got hit in the head a bunch for a living.
But I don't know enough about wrestling, but I know that people who do know enough about wrestling are like really, really enthusiastic about it.
Okay.
I wish I could care.
Your audio is being really funky on my end. I don't know if that's going to the stream or not. I'm going to blame the hotel again.
Fair.
But yeah. Next tweet. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Trump train. Apparently, Trump went into a crowd to like talk to someone who had fainted from heat exhaustion or whatever. And so this person says, "Wow, President Trump just paused his rally in North Carolina and went down to make sure one of his supporters who fainted was doing okay. You can't manufacture love like this. This is
Isn't that the
literally
same thing that Tim did?
it's literally manufactured because Trump has been campaigning for conservatively 8 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Not once has he ever gone down to like make sure someone's okay. And he's had rallies where people faint, where he would see them faint
He's had
and shit like
rallies
that.
where people have died.
Yeah, yeah. And not once has he shown the slightest bit of empathy for any of them until Tim Walz and Kamala Harris, both of them, paused rallies as well. No, it might have not been Kamala. It might have been someone else that happened. Like
I've only
there have
seen
been
the Tim
several
Walz one.
prominent Democrats. Tim Walz was definitely one of them. Kamala, I'm not sure. But like there have been several prominent Democrats who have paused their rallies when they've noticed someone in the crowd that needs this. They've actually like pointed them out and been like, "Hey, we need medics over here right now." So like they've actually directed the medics from the stage.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until they started doing that, they're like, oh, now Trump, when he sees someone fainting, and like honestly, he probably didn't see it. He probably had someone in his earpiece being like, hey, hey, we got a
You
great
would look
opportunity
really
here.
good if you did
We got
this.
we got a great opportunity here. Someone's almost dying. You need to go say hi to them.
Yeah.
And so he did because what we were talking about earlier, he knows what the picture looks like. He knows how to
Mm-hmm.
take a good picture. He knows what the snapshot's going to look like. So he knows like, oh, this like the Democrats, it was really popular when they did this. So now I am going to do this. So this is literally him manufacturing love like this.
Yep.
So yes, you can.
Oy,
He
oy,
did he
oy.
didn't do it until he saw that it would be a popular move.
And then as soon as it was a
And then
popular move, that's what he
immediately
does.
he does it.
Ugh.
Okay. And that was the end of it.
Oh boy, we're back to Cameron. Yay, it's like we're back home.
No, we're done. So
Well, you're not back home.
no, I am in my big comfortable bed after being in my big
Hello.
comfortable tub.
Yeah.
So yeah. Rosina sent $2, says Trump has directed supporters to attack protesters. Yeah, that's true. Trump has actively told people like, hey, if you see someone who does this, beat them up. I'll pay your legal bills.
Does he
And
even
that's
have
good
enough
timing
money to
because
pay
I
legal
think
bills now?
I think I hear children coming too, so that was actually good timing.
Yep, fair enough. Well,
I
it was good being
also
on today.
my end credits I also forgot at home. I didn't pack my end credits or my countdown. I know it seems weird that I didn't pack video files, but
You don't
like,
just clone them onto a Google Drive?
well, no, so that's like my background and shit is all just like Stream Element stuff that I can just copy onto my laptop. But
Fair.
I my patrons are actually not. Um, we'll see. I might do the podcast for them. I'd have to record a new intro, but like I forgot there was an ad. There's an ad in this coming Friday's video. So I rushed to get it done so I could get them approved before I left for Mexico because I'm like, I don't want to like edit an ad while I'm on vacation.
That's fair.
And but in my rushing to do that, I forgot to upload the Patreon versions, and I didn't copy over the final. This doesn't have the ad version for the patrons, and so like it's easy enough to just like re-download it from YouTube and cut the ad out. But then for the podcast, yeah, okay. Again, it's easy to just rip audio and upload it as a podcast. But I also like there's the intro that I just drag and drop onto it for patrons. And I know as someone who listens to a lot of podcasts, it really, really bothers me when people change their normal intro because I have my podcast player set up to skip their intro. So if they change it, now I have to go back to see what I missed or go forward because I'm in the middle of an intro or
Jesus.
whatever. So like I'm indecisive about that. Like, do I record a new thing where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm on vacation right now, so sorry about the change or whatever, but here's the podcast. It's like honestly, that would take me no time to do, and I could absolutely do it. But like as a podcast consumer, that would bother me. I would rather just wait a week for the actual podcast where I don't have to like fiddle with the thing. But this is another thing that if my partner ever sees this video, she's going to be like, "Yeah, no, I told you you're autistic." Because most people, that's probably not a thing that would bother them. They can just hit the back 30 seconds or forward 30 seconds button, and it's fine. So I don't know. I might do it. I might not. We'll see. They'll get a video for sure.
Well,
Mark
at least
Fernkoff is saying first world problems. Yes, I know. I know it's not really a problem.
At least you have enough of your stuff here that you are able to stream. Like that's the important part is you have enough of it, even if you don't have the full package.
You have no idea how much it bothers me that we don't have our little borders around us.
I just noticed we don't have our borders.
See, I told you have no idea. It has
God.
Fucking it's just driving me nuts all fucking night. When I was setting it up, I'm like, fuck, it's like that's a 2 kilobyte file. I could just copied it over, but no, didn't do it.
Oh my God, Kaiser Neko just made a post that just made me giggle very hard. Frieza wiped out the entire Saiyan race. Washington Post fact check. Frieza only blew up the Saiyan homeworld, and several Saiyans were still alive after the explosion.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Oh my God.
Because that was like, no, it wasn't them that did the fact check. Like the Snopes did the fact check on his, like, oh, he didn't say that Nazis were very fine people. No, technically he said there were very fine people on both sides. But one side was Nazis.
Happens to be the Nazis.
So like, yeah, it's kind of the same thing.
Hey Growly, are you okay?
Okay.
Are you good?
I also did not pack the end credits stream, so it's going to end abruptly.
It's just gonna cut off?
Well, I'm gonna send it to the standby thing, but yeah, you can take your dog out, and I will message my partner to let her know that she can bring the kids to bed. Just for Lord of Fools says, as someone who drives for a living, I appreciate your pedantry. Yeah, no, that's the thing, because I listen to most of my, used to when I worked far away from home. You listen to most of your podcasts while you're driving. So if like somebody does something weird in the intros and you've already set it up to skip it, then it can be difficult to
give me this paper towel.
Figure out what's going on.
What are you doing? That's not your paper towel.
All right. Thanks for joining me. So from Mexico, signing off, as always, fuck off.
Hi, Chip. How you doing, bud?
Oh, we're still, our audio is still live.
Oh, boy. Well, on your end, not mine.
Yeah, well, my end's all that matters. My end's all that matters.
Oh, okay. Fair. That's not what you said at the spit roast last night.